everyone. I can't really hear this, so you'll have to tell me if it's working. Okay. Hi, thank you so much for coming out and braving this weather. I'm really pleased. I'm really surprised to see so many people, so thank you. Delighted to be here. Delighted to be going around the country. I'm delighted today to talk to you about something quite controversial. Now, I know it's unusual for me to speak about things that are quite controversial, but let's try it for a change. This weekend there is something happening in London tomorrow, and it's happening at Speaker's Corner, and it's absolutely vital that it happens, and that people attend it, and I say that not being able to attend it myself, but I hope it gets a great crowd. And what it is a reassertion of our rights as free people to speak our mind in a free country. Over the last week, friendly journalists from friendly democratic countries were detained by police in this country and deported. Now, they were deported because one of them wanted to speak to Tommy Robinson, and on the letter she received, it told her that she has associations with right-wing groups. They don't even bother to say far-right groups anymore. Now just a right-wing group is enough. This is political tyranny. This is not a democracy. And in order to have a democracy, we must be able to speak our minds. We must. Because as 1 and 1 is 2, free speech is democracy. And that is exactly why it is under attack. We have a specific reason for this erosion of our freedom of speech. And we all know exactly what it is. This country and many other countries across Europe and across the Western world are afraid. And they're afraid of a particular ideology, a particular religion that we shall not name. We shan't name it because if we do, we might find ourselves guilty of a hate crime. And the reason we are so afraid of this peaceful religion that cannot be named is that they may result in violence. Peaceful religions do not resort to violence, but that is what we are told. This peaceful religion we cannot talk about is imposing its values on this country, and our government is complicit, our state institutions are complicit, and we have a situation where the legal system of the peaceful religion that cannot be named is being imposed upon us via the state. And one thing that the legal system of this peaceful religion that cannot be named does is prevent any criticism of the peaceful religion that cannot be named. We are therefore having the legal system of that peaceful religion that cannot be named imposed upon us. You can see some signs for it. I would love if that was held up. I won't name it, but this sign will. We are subject to an alien, anti-democratic, violent, oppressive law. You know that at Speaker's Corner, did you know this? A lot of people don't know this. There are now prayers being held on a regular basis at Speaker's Corner, interrupting people's right to speak. And for 300 years, people have stood at Speaker's Corner in London and spoken their minds. Now we have this show of dominance, where people are praying at Speaker's Corner, intimidating people, pushing people around, pushing people away. And this is what we are facing. This is what we are facing. If you dare to speak, if you dare to speak out against it, you will not only risk arrest or detention, as these journalists did, but you will find yourself slandered, misrepresented, and just plain lied about. Now, this week, a so-called journalist in a newspaper right here in this city wrote an article about me, which was complete rubbish from start to finish. Completely misrepresented me. Now, here is what I said And here is what he published. He asked me why I had such a problem with migration, mass migration from countries where the peaceful religion that cannot be named is dominant. He asked me why we had problems with other religions, so why is this religion any specific problem to me? And I told him that we here, the people of Europe, the native people of Europe, our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, to us, this religion is new and it's imported and it's not us, it's not ours, and we are knowingly and deliberately importing it, even though we know the brutality and the oppression that it brings. Do you know what he published? Oh, he then asked me about abuse by Catholic priests. And why was I so concerned? I'd mentioned that child marriage in this country is happening with absolute impunity. And why was I complaining about that and not about abuse by Catholic priests? And I explained to him that, first of all, while the Catholic Church did get away with this for a long time, it was still legally a criminal offence. In societies where the peaceful religion that cannot be named is dominant, it's not a criminal offence to marry a small child. In fact, attempts to make it a criminal offence were deemed to be anti the religion of peace that cannot be named. So I told him, first of all, that it was a criminal offence, and secondly, that there was nothing in the Christian faith that permitted priests to rape children. In the scriptures of the peaceful religion that cannot be named, however, marriage to young children and sex with young children is sanctioned by the example of the leader and founder of the peaceful religion that cannot be named. Do you know what he published? We didn't import Catholicism from abroad. That was what he published. Of all of that, that is what he published. One, to make me look like a semi-competent, semi-literate fool, and two, because they will not print the truth that I have just described to you. They will not print it. Instead, they will tell the country that I am some sort of fascist, fanatic, lunatic, when all I am doing is pointing out the reality and the truth. This truth is not welcome. Our government, our state institutions don't want you to know that truth, because they know that if you knew that truth, you might do something about it. You might stand up and shout. They are hiding it from you, and they are demonizing me, and they are demonizing anyone else who dares to stand up in this Orwellian 1984-esque society and say, look at this truth. This is the truth. They don't want you to hear it. They don't want you to know it, because the borders are staying open. And that is what it all comes down to. This new globalized world that has been foisted on us, that is, no matter how much we object, they are ignoring it. And let me give you an example. There's a tiny, tiny village in Ireland called Lisdoonvarna. And it's a very famous little village in Ireland. It's got a song. If anyone knows anything about Ireland, you might know the song Lisdoonvarna. It's got an annual festival, a matchmaking festival, and it's been going on for many, many years. The population of this tiny, ancient town in Ireland is 300 people. They are now getting 115 asylum seekers in that tiny town. The locals in that town had a meeting recently where 93% of them voted not to have 115 asylum seekers in their ancient town of 300 people. And guess what's happening? 115 asylum seekers are still coming to that tiny ancient town. Everything about us is being dismantled. Everything we value is being dismantled. And when you speak up, they will shut you down. Now, we have got to remember one thing, and it's the most important thing we have to remember. We are actually in charge of them, and not the other way around. They have the media in their pockets, so we have to stop listening to these liars in the media. Start being our own media, and get onto the internet and start telling the truth. But the ultimate power in all of this is in our hands. The only thing these corrupt, self-serving, let me think of a pleasant word, people in the Houses of Parliament in London, the only thing they care about is their seat. And their seat is in our hands. And we've completely forgotten that. We've completely forgotten it. And it doesn't matter which of these big parties you vote for, they're all the same. On this issue, on mass immigration, and on the peaceful religion that cannot be named, they are all exactly the same. We have to get rid of them. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's madness, right? Stop the madness. Stop the insanity. There is not a political party in this country. None. And I include one that pretends to be and isn't. That's UKIP, by the way. There is not one political party in this country who will actually stand up and tell it like it is. We do not want any more influence from the religion of peace that cannot be named in this country. We have enough. We have enough of it. We have widespread, grotesque crime. We have this complete erosion of our liberties, and it is all because we are terrified of the peaceful religion we cannot name. It really is time to get rid of the slime flowing through Westminster. Now, I say there's not one party. There's not one party until now. Until now. Now, we've had a struggle. For Britain has struggled to get off the ground. We face immense, immense difficulties in the weeks and months ahead. But I am honoured and humbled and moved by the support that we have received from decent people all over this country. And it will grow. And it will grow for one reason only. We are telling the truth. And we have a people who are sick to the back teeth of liars. We will continue to tell the truth. We will continue to tell the truth about migration and about the religion of peace that cannot be named, lest it turn violent. You have a chance here. We do have a chance, but we are running out of time rapidly. Please get behind For Britain. I did not come into this because I like the sound of my own voice, or because I have an astronomical ego, or because I want constantly to be the centre of attention. Quite the opposite. But most people do go into politics for that. But it's a hard life. It's a life I never particularly sought for myself. But it's also something I had to do. I cannot stand by any longer and watch this. I cannot stand by any longer while we are completely dismantled and destroyed. And I can make a solemn promise to you now. No matter what they throw at me, no matter what they throw at us, we will keep standing and we will keep speaking. I was kicked off Twitter for the first time last week, which was a bit of a shock actually. I didn't want to be kicked off Twitter, and for a while I thought I was Teflon, that nothing I said to Twitter was going to do anything about. But they did kick me off for a day, and they kicked me off for a day for saying the following: that I can and should say whatever I like about the peaceful religion that cannot be named. And what I said about it was that it was not a religion of peace. It was a religion of violence, of oppression, of misogyny, and of murder. I say it again now, and I will continue to say it for as long as it needs to be said. Thank you so much for standing up. You are all heroes, and I mean it. You are all heroes. I said I'm humbled. I'm delighted. It's freezing, so and I can see some red faces. If there is there somewhere to go? Maybe for a drink or have a chat, or so we can, yeah. But thank you all very, very much for coming. This really matters. This really matters. And we are getting media coverage. They are paying attention to this. They are. And every time we do this is a pushback. Every time we do this, these traitors in Westminster need to know that we're watching. We know what they're doing. We know they're taking this country away from us, and we will not let them. Get behind us. If you want your country back, if you want your speech, if you want your free speech, you have to vote for it. Vote differently. If you want your democracy, you're going to have to vote for it. And finally, if you want Britain, you're going to have to vote for Britain. Thank you very much for coming.
We will make America great again.